Advancing sustainable Hispanic homeownership. That's the goal of a nationwide association which creates a chapter in the Rockford housing market. WIFR's Anthony Ferretti talks with the local housing agency's founder on the association's goals and the state of the housing market.
City leaders are optimistic the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals will empower more of the Hispanic community to become homeowners.
When you look at the diversity of Rockford, this has absolutely been needed for some time.
Real estate experts say Hispanic homeownership is one of the fastest growing segments nationwide. 51% of Hispanics, which is 10 million people, own their own home. That's a big reason why the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals starts a chapter in Rockford.
The hurdles of the language, the hurdles of a higher down payment is huge. And so we're just trying to make it easier and educate everyone that you can.
Board President Jeanette Solis says this demographic faces barriers to homeownership, including higher down payments. Solis wants this to be an organization which educates and advocates for the Hispanic community. She says anyone is welcome to join.
We're at an even stronger advantage in Rockford because of our affordable housing market. So that's making it very attractive for that Hispanic home buyer segment.
Brown says affordability is a concern, though a U.S. News and World Report ranks Rockford as the 20th most affordable place to live for the next 2 years. This is in part due to the property value increases and no property tax increases since Rockford Mayor Tom McNamara took office.
We want to make sure Rockford's a diverse place, that everyone is welcome here, that everyone has the opportunities to succeed economically right here in our own community.
Homes in the Rockford housing market sold for a 3-month rolling average price of more than $224,000. The average home price has also increased more than $27,000 since the start of 2024.
Thank you, Anthony. And Realtor.com also kept Rockford as the third hottest real estate market based on demand, measured by unique views per property on its site and how long a listing is active.